feel like we finna change the cycle, ayy. That's more success, you know we thriving, ayy. That's more depression for our rivals, ayy. Could teach a lesson on survival, ayy. You know I'm from the bottom.
We back for another amazing installment of the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast. It is your boy, David Bellard, one half of the Black Wealth Renaissance crew, and I'm here with my brother from another, Jalen. Was I with you?
Whoa, what's down with it, my brother? You know I'm already here, feeling blacktastic, feeling amazing, feeling blessed, dog. I can't complain. I'm here, ready to pie, ready to go. Let's get this thing started. How you doing today, though, bro?
Man, I'm doing fantastic as well, bro. You know, a while back you challenged me to go get checked on and stuff like that, so I went do that today, man.
Wait a minute, you would go? Yeah,
man. You know, it's men's wellness month, men's health month, whatever month it is. You know, it's a different month every month. Appreciate you, man. Yeah. So you know, brothers holding brothers accountable. That's what we all about here at BWR.
By the way, it's Men's Health Month, so all things mental health, physical health, men's health.
Yeah. But I want to get checked out. You know, everything looking cool. Waiting on my blood work to come back. Started getting, the process started for the knee. And recently I took up cycling. So I picked up a bike recently. That's one of the things I used to love doing as a kid, you know what I'm saying, riding bikes. But it's actually a good exercise for me. I hadn't been able to go to the gym like I wanted to these past few months because I can't really lift weights. So this actually gives me like a low impact type of workout that I can do and still be enjoyable where I'm not just standing on a stationary bike. I get to ride through Dallas and stuff. So it's been cool, man. It's been helping, getting my exercise in, looking at the city. What's up, man?
That's what's up, man. I definitely have a funny joke, though. The minute you said I've been cycling, I just pictured Squidward in my head. I'm like, this nigga David riding around like Squidward around this bit. I'm Squidward. We're all Squidward.
Bro, shut up talking to me, bro. But nah, man. Actually, if you're in Dallas, I'm joining a bike club. That's something that I did Saturday. 4Y
shout out to our guy Will.
Yeah, shout out to our boy Will
Will.
Haggins, friend of the show. He's been on an episode of the pod before. Amazing event producer out here in Dallas. Has a festival coming up in November, 4YOG Fest. And they started a bike club. So if y'all in Dallas, the Dallas area, man, definitely check them out. I think their IG is at 4YOG Fest. But yeah, check us out, bike club, stuff like that. But how about you, man? What you been up to? How's life?
Life lately has been kind of chill. My thing that I've been kind of doing to get away, I've been going back fishing since the weather been good. So that's been pretty good. My mom and them came out to Houston.
Okay, that's what's that.
This past weekend too. So that was pretty cool. My wife, we got her family. They just moved in a whole camper up here. So we're getting ready for the baby due in August. So that's been kind of like my life, bro. Just that. Locking in on this, and then also finding this cybersecurity job, dog.
Yes, sir. I love to hear it, man. We still praying for a safe, successful delivery of the next baby, man. Shout out to you. Can I say your name?
Not yet.
We can't do that on the pod. I can't do that on the pod.
We're gonna wait.
All right.
Wait a little bit longer.
That's cool. But yeah, man, as always, guys, we have another great episode of the show planned for you today. Before we get into it, we always ask that you leave us that 5-star rating and review. You know we need that.
I need it.
Yeah, look at him. He's scratching his neck like Tyrone Biggums. We need that.
Need it.
You know what I'm saying?
Need that.
I need it. Well, how SpongeBob? I need it. We need them 5-star ratings and reviews, bro. They really do help us continue to grow the show and push out the message. Today we have a very good episode. I think is. We've been getting some positive feedback a lot about the conversations we've been just having, when it comes to money and mindset and some of the practical things. So that's some of what we plan on doing today. So yeah, y'all continue to give us feedback. This is what we're here for. We're here to elevate the culture and uplift through positive media. A lot of times we talk about black media and it's on the bullshit. Well, this is black media that's on some positivity. So yeah, we about to get into it. So to speak with positivity, man, Jalen, I think it was a clip that you actually want to open up with, right?
Yes, sir. I actually got it already queued up.
Let's get it now.
If you really knew how the brain works, There are certain phrases you never say again because those phrases literally lock you out of the life that you want. And I'm giving you 5 phrases. The 4th one I hear every single day. And it's one of the reasons why your results are staying the same. So the first one is, I'll try. See, the brain doesn't register try as action. See, it files it under uncertainty, and uncertainty is registered as hesitation, and hesitation halts execution. Second phrase is, I always mess this up. Ooh, this one tells the subconscious, okay, repeat the mistake. Repeat the mistake because that's who I am. Now, the third phrase is, that's just how I am. You see, identity is the most powerful form of suggestion. What you declare, your brain defends. The 4th phrase, this is the one. It's hard for me too. The brain says, oh, hard is unsafe. Unsafe is avoided at all costs. So what you've done by repeating that is you've just told the brain success is dangerous. That 5th phrase is, I don't know how to. This tells the brain to believe that it's stuck. But here's the truth about that. Knowing comes after the doing. So I've given you 5 key phrases to stop.
Shout out to Coach Val J for that breakdown.
Yo. Shout out to Coach Val J. Yeah, that definitely I'm definitely of that mindset. I think it's very important to be mindful of what we state and the things that we declare out into the world. Shout out to Coach Val for that, because I think so often in society it's very easy for us to forget the power of what we say, you know? Like, it's easy, we get into these self-deprecating cycles, and it's easy to joke and laugh, and sometimes you get around a lot of negativity, you start complaining, and the shit we speak about and put out into the world is what we receive.
You're right. And one of the things, so whenever I was listening to this, I also thought about what are some things that some money habits or some money phrases that people might be saying to themselves that's actually keeping them stuck, broke financially, right? One of the things is, I can't afford it, or, you know, I'm broke, bro. Like, just saying the mere fact I'm broke constantly to yourself is just reinforcing, oh, I don't have money, or, you know, I don't come from money. Those type of things, the I don't come from money makes it feel like you're validating being okay just with not having it, or being okay with not learning those money techniques and learning those money skills to develop better, right? So I just thought of those few things. I didn't come up with a whole list kind of like she did, but those were a few that just kind of popped up to my head as I was listening to it.
It's interesting, like you said, because it goes back to what she was saying in there, identity, right? It comes back to your identity, and it made me think about a concept that I was just hearing in a book I'm currently reading, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T.K. Ev.
Finally got into my Audible account today too, so I'm going to download that.
Yeah. I think T.K. I may be butchering brother's name, but pretty good book, right? But when we talk about financial identity, a concept that he discusses in there is your financial thermostat, right? Which is kind of where you mentally see yourself financially. Like, where do you see yourself? Because no matter the amount of money that you acquire, your financial thermostat is going to determine your quality of life and the way you feel about it, right?
Break that down. What's the financial thermostat? And
so basically, it's just your identity with money, right? How do you think about money? The thoughts, ideas, and processes, kind of similar to what you just said, the declarations that you make about money. The way you act with your money, right? We talk about, you know, rich, poor, middle class. And when it talks about a financial thermostat, they mention that rich people behave a certain way. They have a certain set of beliefs, and they do certain things that people who are middle class or poor often don't when it comes to money. One of those things is their thought process about wealth, right? A lot of people, we talk about it often, demonize wealth. Well, how can you want to be rich, but you feel like every rich person is greedy? But where did you get that from? A lot of times our financial thermostat is something we inherit through, you know, learned behavior and observed behavior. Like the things that actually your parents taught you, your family members taught you, and modeling. Like, what did you see them do? Because people will tell you stuff all the time, but whenever you actually see what they do, that's often the things we mimic because you have kids, Jalen. They learn to do stuff from what they see you doing. You were telling me one day, Mav likes to go at the computer and work. But why does Mav like to do that? Because he sees his dad do it.
Yeah, he see me over here doing it. It was something else recently that he saw us do, and then he started doing it himself. Man, I can't think of it.
But
I was like, okay.
like to illustrate that point, that goes to illustrate we're hardwired from the time we're small to learn from those around us and adopt the habits of those around us. So whenever you start adopting these mindsets and the things that you learn from them, like you don't realize it, but subconsciously you're not really identifying with a person who would have wealth. So even if you come up on a good bit of money, you're going to find a way to go back to that same pattern that you used to because that's what's comfortable and that's where your financial thermostat is set.
Okay. So that was a good overall just overview. But so I'm guessing with the thermostat, like what is hot? What is cold? How is that part? So is it more like a number line?
Yeah, it's more like a number, but the thermostat is just an analogy so you can understand it. Just like a regular thermostat. If you set it to 70 degrees and it's 65 in there, you put the heat on, it's going to warm up to 70 degrees, right? Mm-hmm. If it's 80 degrees in the house, you put it on 70, it's going to come back down to 70. The same concept applies.
I'm getting what you're saying. So if you're set at a mindset of I am middle class or low class, and then you come into some money, it'll increase, but then it's gonna come back down to that same mindset, or that same spending habits are gonna take you back down to that same class, is what you're saying.
Exactly that. So
gotcha.
Like everybody on this podcast, right? We want to be wealthy. Everybody that's listening to this show, you want to be wealthy. If we want to be wealthy, one thing we can't say is, I want to be comfortable. That's the biggest middle class lie that we all tell ourselves, right? I want to be comfortable. What is comfortable? What is comfortable? Like, comfortable is just getting by. And there was a quote in there that I loved. It was like, if your goal is to be comfortable, chances are you're going to struggle. But if your goal to be rich, it's a high chance you're going to be comfortable.
Because you got to shoot higher than where you expect to land. I ain't gonna lie, I was thinking about that early in the shower, like, because I'm just not, I wouldn't say I'm not happy at my current job, but I just feel like it's no longer the place that I need to be, right? Just thinking about like my ambition and everything in life. I'm just like, this isn't a place that allows me to foster that and to continue to grow that. Even whenever I try different stuff inside there, it's not conducive to where it's just like met with, oh yeah, let's try it. Let's figure out how we can do it. So,
and I think environment plays a role because, you know, again, similar to whenever we children, the people we spend a lot of time with also project their beliefs, thoughts, and opinions on us. And even if you are counter to the culture that's around you, you still absorb that. Yeah. It's still by association. You're gonna. That's not to say like if you hang out and if your coworkers all broke and spend all their money, you're gonna end up broke and spending all your money. But if you spend a significant amount of time with these people, your financial habits might start reflecting their financial habits or their financial values, because the conversations you're having. The conversations we have often are what dictate how we allocate our funds. I know whenever me and my friends started talking about investing more, I started investing more.
Facts.
When I had friends that invested, it was easier to do so. People talking about saving $10,000. It seemed a lot more reasonable versus people who've never seen $10,000.
And achievable as well. And like you were able to obtain those things just by being in close proximity to those people, which is an interesting fact I kind of bring up where you're talking about environment. Do you know what's one of the biggest factors of determining if you're going to be wealthy or not?
I know people always say the 5 people you're around, right? Like that?
Not that. It's actually your zip code.
Okay, all right. Talk to me, man. I'm intrigued.
So I forgot where I was reading it at, but they're saying, basically based on your zip code, that's your proximity to not just your household, but your environment,
Your surroundings, your
community.
physical environment.
Yeah, your community, right? If you're in a wealthy community and you're seeing all of these things, that's just your normal life, right? That's what you've come to be accustomed to. That's what you're used to. And to take this deeper, like that even goes into whenever we talk about white privilege and everything like that, right? Sometimes they really can't understand us because they've never lived our world, bro. Like they've never experienced the things that we had to experience. They don't know what it looked like to live on the block, to only have.
They don't know what them
things.
fried bologna sandwiches hitting on.
Exactly,
What the big
bro.
block of cheese my mom was hitting on. Them commodity boxes. They don't know nothing about that shit.
Exactly. If anything, they just pass through the hood and it's like a fathom,
And
like
lock their doors.
a mysterious world that they've never interacted with. So like, whenever I read that, I was like, damn, that makes so much sense. Like your zip code, because that's the schools that you're going to. I was reading something on Instagram. I don't know if this is fact or not, but I did see that schools that are in predominantly white districts are getting like $23 billion more funding than schools that are not predominantly white, that have Black, Latinos, and other ethnicities.
Was that the thing about Austin? Because I recently seen something about Austin being mad segregated. I didn't know that was a thing there, but it's super
I
a
don't
thing.
remember, but just seeing the education disparity, it was just like, damn, it's mind-boggling. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent about what we're talking about because there's other things that I recently experienced in life. So you remember I told you me and Tanae, we just did a staycation in Houston. We actually watched this movie. I think it's called the Triple Eight something. It's a movie about World War II, right? And it's the all-black female unit, the first black female unit to be deployed to Europe, right? And they were deployed with one job, clearing up the U.S. Postal Service backlog, right? Bro, they had airplane hangars full of mail that started to rot and mildew.
God damn.
Because of how long it had been there. They weren't able to disperse it because they didn't
Ain't
have
no meal, dude. That's crazy.
Like it was rats was eating it. Like
Damn.
It was so much mail, bro. And morale for the army was low. Like so low, like, because soldiers weren't able to get in contact with home. People from home weren't able to verify if their loved ones were dead or not. So this was a big issue. They deployed that unit, and they actually deployed them to kind of like set them up for failure because the president at the time, his wife was the one who pushed the issue of getting this mail to the soldiers. So like they deployed them and they told them, hey, y'all have 6 months to get this together, right? Which whenever they first heard 6 months, they was like, oh, it's just mail. We'll knock it out. But then whenever they realized how many aircraft hangars were filled to the brim with the mail, it was like, damn, like, how we gonna overcome this? I said all of that to say, even in times of war, whenever your country is dependent on you, they did things to this all-black unit to slight them and to set them up for failure in their mission. And this is whenever your country needs you the most, but you have so much hatred and so much disdain for the color of someone's skin that you would rather sacrifice the morale of your soldiers, of everybody, to win one objective just to handicap or to make black people look less than. Whenever I read that thing about like the schools and the disparities and everything, like that made me think of the same thing, right? Like right now, China and the US are at a clash. Like you have so much disdain, or your system is so much set up for failure, for fuckery, for bullshit. I'm sorry, y'all, for cursing, that you don't even see investing into these kids, investing into these communities. It makes America stronger as a whole. Because if you give these same black, white, Latino, the black and brown, these other communities, the same resources, the same things that these white schools have, America as a whole is stronger. because there's some really, really bright children in underserved communities. I'm sorry, I went on.
Nigga, how did we get here?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
This nigga talking about niggas in school. I don't understand how we got here, but I do agree with the sentiment that everybody is capable. And I think this financial divestment also bringing
I know
it
how
back.
we got there.
Yeah,
we got from environment, bro. It all started with environment.
Bringing it back, right, to where we were with the environments and the environments that creates, right? It creates people in cycles of poverty. And the language of poverty is what we really are discussing here. And the things that you can do to combat that is what we really want people to leave with from this conversation. And it's a lot of it is really just changing your language, because the words that we use, they program our beliefs, and certain phrases, especially in communities, underserved communities, they carry economic trauma, the trauma that Jalen just referenced, right? Like the type of stuff the same shit that will keep people
money
buying
is the root of all evil.
Yeah, you know.
Every rich person that's got rich, they had to fuck somebody over. They had to do something bad. So that's morally incorrect to be rich. I rather those type of things.
Yeah. Exactly that, Jalen. And it's like those types of beliefs will keep us in the same cycles. So replacing those types of things with alternatives can help rewire your thought process and really open up how you see it and really help you get closer to those steps. Because honestly, if I'm speaking like from a reflection standpoint, over the last year and a half, I've definitely gotten more nihilistic towards certain things.
Oh, that's a new word, nigga. Nihilistic.
Just kind of not.
What does that mean?
Like you just really don't give a fuck either way, bro.
This nigga David's a walking dictionary, guys.
You just don't give a fuck either way, bro. Really, like you just like it's not apathy to where like nothing matters.
Low key nonchalantness though.
But just like you really don't care. You just don't care, bro.
Or you're just going through the motions. And
exactly, bro. What not?
And new word I'm about to add to my vocabulary, guys. Nihilistic.
Yeah, but like the whole thing with it is my thought process, the words that I'm using around my journey on building wealth, the way I feel about being in business and how I am approaching business. The language became more timid. The language became more reserved, and you have to declare the things that you're gonna do. You know, like, oh, we doing our thing in the business. No, we building something special. Like just bringing the different energy back to what you do and how you address you, because you set the tone for you. You know, we talked about that, I think, after our conversation with K Camp some years back. You know, the affirmations daily. I wasn't a person that was doing that, but then I got in the habit of doing it, and I realized the benefit of it. Setting that tone for yourself, telling yourself the energy that you're supposed to approach things with. How are you identifying with yourself before you let the world paint its identity on you? Like, that's the language shift that you need that level of consciousness that I'm challenging anybody that's listening to this to do, because that's something that I'm personally working on right now as well. Is like rewiring those things. Like, you know, it's easy to say, oh man, how you doing? Oh, I can't complain. Is can't complain how you really feel? Is that the energy you want to put out into the world? That's comfortable energy.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, that's something I tell people every day.
I tell people every day too. But if you say I'm great, fantastic, man, I'm getting all the money. You know, like this is the energy you put out.
I like that. I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. You got me reflecting about my energy and just the environment. So I would say this, like going from adjusting back to this retail space definitely got me feeling nihilistic as well. But also just kid, you know, all of those things, like my environment. I'm not interacting with some of the people that I was interacting with before, especially even though we're doing our interviews and hosting our events, the people that we got to meet, that momentum was different. So I'm with you, brother. And I think you just kind of gave me a wake up call, because even the affirmations, that was something that I used to do as well. I used to have it written on my mirror every time I wake up. Like, it's the first thing I'm doing while I'm brushing my teeth and everything, you know. I read my affirmations. I would say that to myself. And I need to get back to that, especially just to be the best version of me for myself, but also for my family. So I definitely got to take that mental Rolodex.
Trust me, I understand. And that's the challenge to everybody, again, that's listening to this. How can you inventory your thoughts? How can you control your thoughts to make your day go better or shift some of those struggles that you've been having? Because that's one of my things. Like, I know I've been discussing purchasing a home. I've ran across a couple challenges. I'm not going to discuss those challenges. I'm not going to blame others for those challenges. I'm going to find a solution. That has to be the mindset and mentality that we approaching things with, especially whenever we on these journeys.
God damn, boy, that's a hell of an intro to this mug.
Hey, man, you found a clip. Auntie was kicking that shit, and
I ain't gonna lie.
Definitely, habits are key. That's something that I'm working on again. You know, I think whenever we first started this, we were like booking podcast junkies.
Yeah,
off of,
cut off music and everything, bro.
Year and a half, and I realized over time you get comfortable. You start creeping back into old habits. I call myself, man, I'm watching more fun stuff and listening to music. I ain't listened to a whole book in 3-4 months. What you doing? You ain't even open the app, nigga. You ain't even, you know, like, what are you feeding yourself?
Yeah.
What are you feeding yourself? So you gotta always have that level of cognition. If you listening to the pod, obviously, you know, you are definitely, you're coming here for something like that, right? And that's what we're here for. And as a person who hosts the podcast, I just want to give y'all that level of transparency. I fell short. It's okay to fall short, but it's bringing it back to center and locking in so you can present as the best version of yourself. And that's what I aim to be and aim to strive to provide to y'all moving forward. So,
man, where do we go from here?
Moving on, man. Moving to the next.
That's the end of the pod, guys.
Hey, that was a lot of pod right there, though. I ain't gonna hold you. That could be his whole That could be his whole own little thing, dog. That's a whole conversation in itself. But no, moving forward, right? We do have another topic that we want to get into. And this is a little lighter, man, but it's still similar on our wealth building journeys. You know, we always about saving our money.
Is this video you didn't let me watch?
Yeah, this is the one I ain't let you watch. So, guys, we got a very important question for you, right? On our financial journeys, a lot of times we all about saving money, but this is a real thing. You can be too damn cheap, man. And I wanted to play this clip, get me and Jalen's reaction. I hadn't seen the whole thing either, but I want to ask everybody here, how cheap is too cheap? Let's see.
My name is Abdul, and I am an extreme cheapskate. I love being cheap because I like the zeros in my bank account. I basically run a successful business. I have a mobile food business with the hot dog carts. This is my trusted friend here, Mr. Wiener. When I pull out my wiener, that's when the magic happens. Hey, yo. Everybody wants to take a picture. Everyone's going bananas over this thing. So if I'm a little slow, I pull my wiener out, and there he goes.
My husband would haggle anything and everything, whether it's a necessity or something that I may want or he just wants. He haggles anything.
If you can make that right there, $343 in the tank.
Bro, this man trying to haggle the price of gas.
We can do that. I mean,
$350.
$350. Okay, we got a deal.
All right, man, take care.
Man, stop. Ain't nobody haggling on the price of gas, bro.
2 bigger burgers and 2 chocolate shakes, please.
1164, hot and fresh to the window, thank you.
Hi there, your total is 1164.
1164.
Correct.
How about I just get rid of the 64, let's just make it 11.
Dog. That's that shit we was just talking about, dog. What the hell?
That nigga said, how about we make that
11 even?
two something on the gas. That nigga tried to take the gas from 253 to 243.
Bro tried to take 13 cents off.
That's hilarious, brother.
Bro, like, that's crazy. I done seen some cheap shit in my day. And I'll personally be one of the first people to say, I've always been accused of being cheap. I look at myself as frugal.
I've been accused of being cheap as well.
I look at myself as frugal because we changing the way we look at things. And being cheap is expensive. I learned not to be cheap. Being cheap costs you so much more money. A lot of times, especially when it's stuff that you're going to use. If you're something like, you know, me and Jalen, we outdoorsmen. We like outdoor stuff. If I'm going to use something, I might as well buy something worthwhile, not a piece of crap.
Facts.
Or
this is what I say the difference between being cheap and frugal as well, right? Like you said, a cheap person, they're going to buy crap. A frugal person, they're going to wait till a quality item go on sale or something and get it at a cheaper, more affordable price. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll look for like a deal. I'll be like, okay, is it somewhere where I can probably find this at a better price? But I still want quality shit.
Exactly.
I'm not that bad. Like, I want shit that's gonna last, man.
But cause here's the thing, right? Like with Buddy in the clip, brother was penny pinching. That penny pinching mentality.
Yeah.
That's scarcity. That's lack, bro. If you out here thinking that you gotta haggle on the price of gas,
that's crazy.
You over here at the fast food spot telling them, hey, bro, instead of $11.64, let me just give you $11 even. Bro, that's an unspoken rule sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you just hand them the money, you just look at them and be like, hey.
Yeah, like, that's all I got.
That's it, dog. That's all she wrote. And the worker will look at you, they'll be like, I got you.
Fuck it.
But to be so unscrupulous, to be so cheap, so stingy.
You know, it's some countries where they like haggling though.
India.
Yeah.
I ain't never met an Indian that ain't never haggled me down.
Yeah, them niggas, I ain't gonna lie, them niggas
boys
try to haggle me
you
all
down,
the time.
Boy. Them boys like, it's 20, can we do 15?
It's funny whenever you go, for you, my friend.
I know I'm about to get fed a load of horse shit. Bro, my mom
this is
used to
normally
kill me with them niggas in the mall in Lafayette. Bro, she gave me the game plan. She like, bro, look. They always gonna go down on their price. You just gotta do these steps. You show interest. You be in there, you touching on it and shit like that. You holding it up, asking them questions about it. They think you about to buy it, right? So then you ask them the price. And they say whatever price. And she like, puts it down. Oh, no, that's too much. so then they pick it up and they're, hey, yo, no, look, this is for you, my friend. You know, this is special. You can afford that. It's like, no, I can't. So then they knock $5 off. But she be like, all I got is 10. And then I can't do 10.
Friend?
I can't do 10, my friend. I lose money at 10. So then this is where part 4 of the plan comes in. She closes her wallet and pretends to start walking away. And every time, it worked every time, them boys will say, I will take the 10. I will take the 10. Just for you. Don't tell anybody. This is a special deal. This woman used to kill her with that tactic, bro. Killing them, bro.
That's negotiation, bro.
Negotiation, bro. She was killing them. I was like,
shout out to Angie B, man. That's hilarious.
But no, man. But you know, we joking and laughing about it, but realistically, whenever we on wealth building journeys, it is important to not be cheap. That penny pinching mentality don't do you no favors. Because if you too cheap, you get in this mentality that you got to save everything. And as we discussed last week, just throwing money in a savings account, that's one of the worst things you could do with your money. We battling inflation every day. Every day our dollar is losing value. So you need to be doing your part to make sure that your money is gaining value either in lockstep or even better yet, exceeding that. And the only way you can do that is through investing. And if you have a scarcity, penny pincher, cheap ass mindset, you don't see the value in investing. you still had that, going back to the first conversation, your perception, your financial thermostat is set in poverty. You still think that money is made through luck.
You're being a miser. Like, you're just trying to hoard it all. And sometimes it's not even hoarding and all. It's like, once again, those habits are keeping you in a certain position that's not allowing you to keep on expanding.
You save $10 a day, right? Every day for a year. At the end of the year, you got $3,650. If you was to take that same money and invest it, you would have what? Let me put it side by side. Let me get it pulled up for me.
You doing a calculator?
I'm getting it pulled up. I got the calculations for me. Look. So boom, right? So you save $10 a day. You do it for a year, you got $3,650. You invest. You save the same $10 a day, right? But you decide to invest it. You might get a 7% return. Over a decade, if you just saving, that's $36,500, right? But for the invested money at the 7%, that's 50 bands. That's $14,000 you just left on the table while that money was losing value. Because you have this, I gotta hold on to it. I gotta keep my money cash. I gotta put it physically under here. I gotta touch my money. I gotta be Scrooge McDuck going to swim in it. You know what I'm saying?
Putting it in my mattress.
Yeah, that mattress money mentality gonna
let it fuck up my back.
Mattress money mentality gonna keep your money.
And I'm too cheap to go to a chiropractor, so now my shit fucked up.
Nigga role model is Julius from Everybody Hates Chris.
I'm sorry, y'all. Let me stop being so
that was 56 cents of juice, nigga. Lick that shit up. That's how niggas is acting though. Like, you can't do that. You gotta invest your money.
Definitely put that money to work. One of the coldest things that I ever heard about money, and I think this might have been from Julian Gordon who said this. Julian said, money is currency. And money flows to those who know how to make it flow, right? So if you cut off the flow of money, if you're just saving it, if you're not making it double, if you're not making it work, making it flow, it doesn't continue to flow to you, right? It's like you putting a dam at the base of like a river or something. It's just going to back up. But if you ever pay attention to dams, at one point, all that water that was built up, somehow the dams always start drying out. The reservoirs always start drying out. Take a look at the reservoir out in Las Vegas. I think Hoover Dam is actually drying up too. Like the water levels are going low. So that currency, that flow, you want to keep that money flowing. Because
it's that resistance. So it got too much resistance. Money go. I see what you're saying. It's going to go where it's easy for it to go, like water. Yes.
Yeah. Just like water, brother. Yeah.
So, man, and on that conversation, when it comes to cheap people, I think another way that cheap people really lose with that whole, frugal, I gotta keep every dollar mentality is they get scared to bet on themselves. And betting on yourself is usually the best return. Like
it's always gonna be the best return.
Any stock, any real estate investment that turned a return that was sizable, it was a bet on yourself more times than not. Facts. You had to bet on yourself, your knowledge, your skills. It was risk associated with it. And one of the lowest risk things that I think cheap people miss out on that they can do to improve their financial standing is upskilling. As you just talked about a couple weeks back, you passed your Security Plus test. Like, that's upskilling. Taking the time to invest the money that you're saving and holding on to.
That's something me and you've been doing our whole life, brother. And it like, just to point out, like, whenever you got it fresh out of college, right? You ain't know what to do, but what you do? You went to paramedic school. Well, not paramedic
EMT
school.
EMT school,
EMT school. you and I, once we kind of got through, figuring out life, we would go get these adjuster's license or another upskill. We got a insurance adjuster's license. Like we see
insurance agent's license. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
We see the value in having skills, having things that'll provide for us. And we've seen the returns of those things. Once again, as an adjuster, I'll say this quite out flat. Being an adjuster was the most money I've ever made in my life. Like the most money I've ever made in my life. But the reason why I'm not still doing it is the time that I had to trade and the moments I would be missing for my family. So in order for me to get back to where I was once at, I need to upscale again, but upscaling something that's going to allow me to have that balance. And that's why I chose IT. I can be on a computer and I can do what I need to do. Once I learn how to automate things, it takes care of a lot of processes. So just always upskilling, and trying to figure out other ways, like just keep on doing it. I think that's also another thing. I'm not going to say cheap, but kind of like to environment thing that we talked about earlier, and it falls into that investing in yourself. Investing isn't just money. It's also, once again, reading those books. What are you putting into your brain? Are you going to meetups where you're able to
Human
meet
capital,
other people? Yeah, like what are you doing? It doesn't just have to be physically investing. Or how are you investing your time, right? Are you taking your time to watch BET Awards all night? Or are you using that time wisely to, once again, upskill and change your position on things? So it all falls into that. So I think that's it for how cheap is too cheap, man.
Yeah, for the most part, bro. Just don't be so damn cheap that you're not willing to invest in yourself. That's always gonna be the best return. Always, always, always. So it's cool to be frugal. Want to be a good steward of your money. Always, but don't be so short-sighted that you lose sight of how you can level up. Like Jalen just mentioned, he seen, okay, I need to pivot into this other field, and you got to sit your ass down and do the work. Nobody's going to do the work for you.
It fucking takes time, bro.
Yeah.
Like it takes time, and that do the work. Whenever I was thinking about it, once again, the intro that we talked about with church, I think a few weeks back, it really just hit me as like, even if for what I need to do to get to this next career point, I gotta do the work, because this is a whole total left field. Like with adjusting, I was able to kind of fake it till I make it, but I do feel like with this tech shit, like I at least need to show that I'm competent in this. I at least need to be able to speak about it. And the only way I'm gonna be able to do that is by doing the fucking work. So what am I doing? My late nights, I'm spending sitting at this computer. I done built me a home lab where I'm hacking shit, where I'm like doing other protocols and everything. But what I'm doing is I'm screenshotting and I'm documenting it. I told you yesterday, I was putting together a portfolio. Every time I'm doing something, I screenshot it. Then I make sure I take a mental note. I don't always jot it down, but I take a mental note. What did I do? What was these steps that I just looked over? And then I'll go back and I'll put it in a portfolio and I'll just document. These are the steps that I took. These were the processes. This is what this did. And this is how I got this particular result.
You should use Scribe.
Ooh. Damn. Okay. I need to see it. It is on a virtual machine, but I need to see if I can use Scribe.
It might help. Just saying, save you some time from screenshotting everything. But yes, indeed. But yes, y'all, moving forward, rolling into the next topic, which is actually kind of tied into something that we begin discussing this episode about when we come to environment and our financial thermostats. And that is inherited money habits, right? So my question to the audience and you, Jalen, is what is one money habit that you learned from your parents or guardians that you think negatively impacted you on your financial journey?
For me, I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. Like growing up, my mama always was spending money on like shoes, clothes, and all of those things. So that was something that I kind of picked up from her at a younger age. Like I always wanted to have good shoes. I always wanted to have these things. So like for sure, whenever I was in college, I started making money. I started buying me Jordans. I started buying me clothes. Like I just wanted to have those things. I also kind of saw her cycle of when she got paid, you know, she'll go do these things, go out, go drink or whatever. So at one point, like my whole life was the same thing. I for sure remember like my first few refund checks, bro. Turned
Ran
up,
ran
nigga.
through them things,
Turned
huh?
up, nigga.
Had
nigga.
cameras. That's why they calling your ass Diddy.
I not no, but
That
I
nigga
did
was throwing
throw.
them Diddy parties.
I
Dirty
was
money.
throwing kickback. I was throwing kickbacks and shit,
Take
bro.
that,
Like
take that.
just because I knew the atmosphere, what it needed to have a good party.
Yeah.
Every time I had a party, like my parties was lit. Nothing bad happened, but they always got shut down by cops because there was too much people coming. So like that was some of the things that I was doing and things that I picked up early on in college. Then there was a point where I just had to have this conversation with myself. And I even had that conversation with Tanae. I was like, man, I'm always getting paid, but I always just feel broke. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And that's kind of like whenever I started learning about credit and everything. But I just started saving. I remember, I think it was like maybe my sophomore, junior year of college. I just was like, instead of for my refund check, I remember I had a pretty nice one. I said, I'm just gonna take that refund check. I'm gonna start me a savings account. I just threw that money in the savings account, bro, and I ain't touch it. And what it did for me was throughout that semester, I had a buffer where if some things was coming up, or you know maybe I couldn't work as many hours that week because I had events going on campus, I had things going on. I had a safety net at that point, so that kind of really solidified it for me. It was still a struggle because I'm gonna be honest, like it's a muscle. It's something that you have to constantly
You've been
constantly
programmed and
utilize.
taught this
Yeah.
one thing and seen this whole one thing your whole life. So you have
Yeah.
to unlearn that shit before you're able to
Facts.
recalibrate your brain to think save versus spend.
Facts. So those are the things that I definitely have worked on, and I still work on sometimes, bro. Like it's sometimes where I still want to spend, but now I definitely pay attention and be like, hey, what we doing? What we saving? Or all of those things. So
Definitely. So turning that question back on me, I say the most negative money lesson that I've learned or inherited from my parents is that wealth is built through luck. That was like a mental hurdle that I had to jump over. It's like they just got lucky. And no matter what person, how they built their wealth or nothing, it was always just attributed to luck. It was never a effort of your hard work. It was never a result of your hard work and efforts. And what I also have to deconstruct.
could you give me some examples of like how they were saying that?
So it would always be like, okay, this one guy, he got all this land and man, he got lucky because he found this deal. But as we talked about, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. The reason he had the money for the deal is likely because of his lifestyle and the attitude and approach he has towards money. My dad has always been a kind of a not exact to the number or real stringent when it comes to money. He's more of a like money comes, money goes type person, which it's true, right? Money does come and money goes, but if you don't put any intention toward it or pay it the proper attention, you overspend in categories because you're not actively managing your money and you fall victim to bank account accounting. And a lot of times you're still saving, you're still doing better than you were before, but the lack of intentionality is something that I had to kind of like dial back. It's like, no, okay, if I'm saving money to build wealth, there's going to be certain things I'm going to have to sacrifice. Some of the social events and things that are comfortable to pay for, right? Like my dad, okay, example. He's the type, he likes to enjoy people have a good time, right? So he'll cook and have friends over and shit like that. But he'll finance the whole thing. So you're spending all this money, and some of the same niggas that you talking about got money saved and put up and all this shit like that. They showing
Come
up.
and eat off of your dime.
They come and eat off your dime.
Empty-handed.
Empty-handed. Nigga might
Will
have
Haggis will have them niggas by the neck.
Nigga might have showed up with some paper plates or some beers or some shit like that. But you the one came out of pocket for this. And yeah, while it may be good to create those environments and, you enjoy that, so at the end of the day, ain't shit in this world free. And you have to be serious about your money. Because if money don't matter to you, then money not gonna come to you. You don't care about it. Does anything you care about come to you? Like anything you don't care about come to you? Does it ever come across your thing like, oh man, I don't care about this? Even in your algorithm on social media, it's not going to, the shit that you don't care about won't pop up.
On my algorithm, sometimes that shit pop up.
Only on Twitter, man.
Don't show me that shit, though.
The only place that happens to me on is Twitter. Twitter be giving me the most random notifications.
Instagram give me bullshit sometimes, but I know why it gives me bullshit. Is that one motherfucker who sent all of that shit in that chat.
Stop clicking on it.
Sorry, y'all cussed again. Too bad.
But no, like those types of behaviors and thoughts toward money, I think that's really it. Like thinking that they're lucky when really it's just behavior. They're a bit more frugal than that. Like, yeah, it's cool that you want to get everybody together, but you look at doing that twice a month. That's $400-$500 that you done spent that you could have invested towards something or saved towards something. So it's just those types of things. I think that's something that I had to deconstruct. You don't always have to be the financier of everybody's good time. And it's okay to say no to people wanting you to spend money on a good time whenever you don't really want to spend that money.
Facts. Any other things that you can think about?
Nah.
Well, listeners, if y'all have anything y'all want to share, if y'all want to share y'all stories, y'all can leave it in the chat. Leave it in the comments. I'm sorry, not the chat. Leave it in the comments or email it to us, and we'll review some of them live on air. Make y'all feel like y'all part of the show, man. Shoot us an email at podcast@blackwealthrenaissance.com.
Definitely. So, move on to the next one.
Yes, sir. Last part is actually something that I kind of like spoke about just briefly, was the credit, right? And keeping along the theme that we've been doing, kind of where we talked about the budgeting, we talked about ways to save, want to give some type of financial, strategical, but applicable financial, I'm not going to say advice, but financial education and things that you can do to improve your financial well-being. This one we're going to be talking about credit. We want to talk about some practical ways where you can improve your credit score. I'm going to pull up that video, but
which one?
Which one you want to play first?
I didn't really want to play either of them. I was just sending to these examples.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know you wanted. Okay, cool. Well, if that's the case, then we could just go straight into the topic. So some people are teaching others to commit fraud to improve their credit score for short-term flips. So once again, you'll hear people say, hey, you submit these letters to the FTC and they'll get you, you submit an FTC complaint against the bureaus for these certain things, and then they'll remove these derogatory marks off of your account. The thing that they're not telling you is, yeah, you can submit these complaints, but if they're not true, if they're not actual and they're not factual, these things are just going to appear back on your credit report. So it might work in the short term where maybe you need to buy you a car, like the thing that the little dude was talking about, right? He just was trying to get people to buy a fucking Hellcat. This is how you get your credit score, to buy a Hellcat.
Man, I hate that little nigga in that video, dog. I ain't gonna lie. And I don't hate him. I hate everything about that video.
It's crazy because you're you're one doing erroneous complaints where you're filing these false complaints. You're doing these things, which is one, a flag and could get you in trouble. But two, then you're doubling back. Odds are, if you don't have the credit score to buy this Hellcat, you shouldn't be fucking buying this Hellcat
at all. At all. You don't need no damn Hellcat if you gotta go flip your credit and lie to the FTC and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to get it. And like to what Jalen's saying, right? You know, some people will hear that and they'll be like, so what's my alternatives, right? Because this person can fix my problem in the short term. And a lot of people, you know, they feel like, hey, it doesn't matter. I don't care if I'm scamming and whatnot. So I'm not talking to y'all. Y'all go follow a little buddy that got the stacks of money telling you to go get a Hellcat. He go take them thing off your thing and you can flip and finesse. But for the people who like to do stuff legitimately, who don't like the risk of, you know, incarceration and all that other bullshit, we got some practical and evidence-based stuff that you can actually do to improve your credit, right? In the short term. And it's not that complicated. A lot of times people, you know, they try to make it harder than it is. But realistically, you could do this yourself. A lot of people are using ChatGPT and AI to draft letters and dispute letters and things of that nature so that you can really leverage the tools at your advantage, at your disposal to your advantage to clear stuff up like this. So, right, first things first. We mentioned it kind of, but not really. First thing you're going to have to do is pull your credit report. Look for those errors because there probably are some errors. Wasn't it just a large data breach for another one of those? It was
a large data, AT&T. So it's not a new data breach. What happened is, and you know I know this because of the cybersecurity. What happened is, so whenever the data breach happened, they released the information in different compartments, right? Like one file was, this is just emails. One file was, this is just phone numbers. This is just social securities. So it wasn't a complete profile of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
One of the hackers, what they did is they did something to where now they were able to match and compile a full profile of the social security numbers to the email addresses to passwords and everything. So now you're a little bit more vulnerable to maybe if you use a specific password, you use it a lot. I would check. There are ways for you to check to see if you have been, if any of your information has been leaked in any like data breaches or anything like that. There's resources that you can check that out with. But yeah, that's the big one that you're talking about, AT&T recently.
Okay. And you can check your credit score. I mean, not credit score, your credit report for free. You can get it pulled online. A lot of the bureaus, you can go directly to them and request it, or you could, well, some of them you pay for it. But
I'm pretty sure it's my free credit report, right?
Yeah, or my free credit report, annual credit report. We'll find the actual website and put it in the show notes for you guys at the end of, so you can actually go ahead and do that. But you want to look for that and look for inconsistent or fraudulent information so that you can then challenge it. And like we said, run that, analyze that, ChatGPT. It can help draft you some pretty solid letters without you having to do a lot of legwork. Just make sure you go through and read it, because that should be hallucinating sometimes and making up information.
Yeah. So yeah, first things first is just assessing where you're at.
Yes, sir. So next thing, right? This is the one that people don't like to hear. You gonna have to pay them people.
You got to give it to them raw, David.
You gonna have to pay them people. You gonna have to pay them people. You got to give them some money, man. Everybody want to. That all them people that be telling you about scamming and flexing and flipping and all that shit, all they trying to do is convince you that you don't owe this money that you owe. You borrowed the fucking money. Pay it back. I ain't saying you got to give it all to them, but if you want this shit to get fixed in the short term, you're going to have to get him something. You're going to have to work with him. If you listen to us, you read Richest Man in Babylon, that was part of his whole thing. He was in debt like a motherfucker. But he said, look, at least 20% of my income, I'm dedicating it. I'm going to pay this shit back. I don't care if it take me 10 years.
he said I'm dedicating it amongst all of my debtors.
Yeah.
So, hey, you got to work out if you got to work out an agreement. Hey, look, I got all of these people. This is how much money I got. Are you okay with this slice of the pie? And we're gonna make it shake like this.
Because your payment history is a huge part of your credit. It's actually the largest part. It's 35% of your FICO score, right? So missing them payments is a killer. Missed payments are a killer. I just told y'all recently, like the whole situation with that car, and that shit jacked my credit up for a second. And it's like, okay, just getting everything back on track. Like one missed payment can knock you down, 60 plus points, easy. If you fall behind on it. So it's important that you stay on top of these things, and if you can, set up auto pay so you don't forget about it. Even if you're just doing the minimum and then, attacking it at different ways. Or like speaking of how we attack it, right? So one of the methods that you can use to help attack and get rid of your debt is they got two methods popular. You may have heard of them, the snowball and the avalanche method. Snowball method is you start with the smallest debt. You work on paying that one off first, and then you just continue to pour more into the next one. And avalanche method is, I think you start with the highest interest rate debt, and you focus on paying that one off first, and then so on and so forth. You're still committing the same amount of money to paying off debt every month. But as you pay off a balance, instead of taking that money to spend it, you just continue to allocate it toward the other debts. And what it does is help you pay off all of them quicker, because once you clear one, instead of just counting that towards your income, you just continue to pay on it. So that'll also help speed up the timeline and help improve your credit, because the other thing and other big factor that we want to get into is maintaining your utilization rate. So your utilization rate is another huge part of your credit. Benchmark is, I believe, 30% is what you want to keep it under to keep you in that 700s range. So if your utilization rate is high, there are a couple ways that you can do. If paying down isn't going to be the quickest option for you, like there are a few other tools at your disposal that you can use. And one of them is getting a line increase. So a lot of people don't take advantage of it, but usually every 6 months with most credit cards, you can ask for a line increase. And for a lot of them, they don't even do hard inquiries.
Nope.
A lot of them, they'll just do a soft pull on you depending on the amount of money that you're asking for. I was on a website earlier. It was like the credit fixer doctor. It was telling you, which ones do, which ones don't. So like Amex doesn't, but Chase does, and like Citi does, and Discover does, depending on how much money. So it depends on your financial institution, right? But you can get additional available credit, which in turn lowers your utilization. So it can be like a double thing, like where you're paying it down, you also requesting for more credit. So it does it on like both sides. So like you're actually raising your ceiling and lowering the floor, which makes your utilization lower. So that's a method that you can use to increase your effective to increase your credit limit to lower your utilization rate,
which will and thus help you with your credit score, because your utilization, I think it's 30% of your score. Yeah, utilization is 30% of your score as well.
So just between payments and utilization, that's a vast majority of your stuff. And even if you do get the hard pulls, like those aren't terrible. A lot of times the benefit of getting an increased line of credit will outweigh getting a hard pull, depending on how much that increase is. If it lowers your utilization rate from 60% to 40% or 30%, that 5 to 10 point hit from the hard inquiry really doesn't make a difference, because your score overall will still improve.
And whenever you're doing this, we're not saying this is for people who are like maxed out on their credit utilization, right? You're already at like a good standpoint.
Yeah, you need to focus on paying that shit off.
Yeah. Maybe you're teetering that 35-40% utilization rate, right? And you want to get that under 30 because maybe you're about to make a purchase like a home. Well, I wouldn't even say for a home because you don't want to mess with your credit. But maybe you're just trying to get your score up.
Before you go and get pre-qualified, right?
Yeah. You just want to make your score look better. Doing that limit increase can help you out with that.
Especially if it's a soft pull. If it's a soft pull, it doesn't show up on your credit. Definitely.
Yep. And no harm, no loss, right? If you get it, yay. If not, it's nothing that really affected you.
Exactly. So another way when we talk about utilization rates that you can actually improve your limit is to become an authorized user. That's a very popular method. If you have older family members, somebody who's good with money, they don't have a lot of debt, approach them. Ask them to be an authorized user. It literally costs them nothing. Explain to them that me being an authorized user does not mean that I have to have access to actually spend your money. You could take the card, you could burn that motherfucker, you could do whatever. I don't give a fuck what you do with the card. Just leave my name on that account. Because while my name is on that account, I get the benefit of having your credit history, your utilization rate, and your low utilization rate helps balance out my higher. And it gives me some more credence with the bank. I can help myself out a little bit better. It lowers it and it'll help boost your score as well. It's a very good way you can go ahead and do it, but it's a double-edged sword. Don't let nobody that got fucked up credit make you authorized user.
I was just about to say, I've actually heard there's some people that actually charge people to be authorized users for a certain amount of time on their credit.
I would. I could believe that.
Yeah, like they're in a good position, like they have a really strong credit profile, and like they'll charge somebody, like maybe somebody's about to go buy a house, right? And for the next year and a half, I'll put you as an authorized user. You save up your money and everything, make your credit score look good, and then once you purchase your house, I'll drop you as an authorized user.
Yeah.
So I say that for two things, right? One, if you are a person who has challenge credit and you're trying to make that purchase, that's a good way for you to, once again, increase your credit score. Maybe you have to pay to play. Two, if you're someone who has a good credit score, that's a good way for you to make a little bread.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. So the next thing is, monitor your credit and avoid new inquiries, right? Once again, we just talked about these hard pulls can drop your score by 5 to 10 points, but it does two things again. So depending on how many new inquiries you're going for, let's say you just got one or two within the past few months, it doesn't look like a red flag. But if you see someone who has 3, 4, 5, 6 hard inquiries, it looks a little bit different. Like, oh, this person, it tells the lenders one or two things. This person is either about to hit a hard time and they're trying to get access to capital by doing all of these hard inquiries, or two is a red flag for like you fraud or anything like that. And then it once again, you do 4 or 5 of these, that drops your points, your score. Do 5 times 10. That's 50 points that you just got dropped as well. So it doesn't paint a good picture, and it doesn't do you any justice whenever you're getting all those hard pulls. That's why I always tell people, before you buy a vehicle, go ahead and get pre-qualified. Walk in there with your own money. Walk in there with your own check. Because whenever you go to these car dealerships, they're going to run your fucking credit. They're going to run your credit at all of these other different lenders to see who's going to give them the best rates so they can come lock you in at a higher interest rate on their spread.
Them boys going to pass you around like a $2 hoe. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
And jack your credit up in the process.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Indeed. But man, that's just a few ways, a few actionable things that you can do. Because as we know, good credit is essential and important. Outside of, financing opportunities, what it does do is create, people look at this for if you're going to get insurance policies, if you're going to get certain apartments, things of that nature, right? These are all things that are going to be looked into. So it's just a good rule of thumb to make sure that you're taking care of your credit, making sure your standing is good so that whenever you do need stuff, you can afford it, and you're not getting charged the arm and the leg, because we know bad credit is expensive. It's expensive to have bad credit.
Same thing like being cheap, bro. Being cheap is expensive. Having bad credit is expensive.
Having the difference between having a 550 and a 750 can cost you $10,000, $20,000 over a couple years with the types of interest rates you can get.
David, do you have anything else beyond that you want to kind of get into?
Nah, man. Nah, I think I want to save the next topic for another day, man. I think this is a bigger topic than the throwing at the end of a pod. So I think I'm good here, bro.
Bet. Well, I just want to say thank you to all of our listeners. Once again, let's just think about some of the things you heard in this episode. Think about changing that mindset, becoming more abundant, shifting the things that you're saying to yourself, being intentional with your words, right? Making sure, know that your words have meaning and your subconscious is picking up on those things. So being intentional. David, I'm challenging you to get back into the affirmations. If you're not, I'm challenging myself to get back into the affirmations. I'm waiting till my wife come back, have her write on some sticky notes for me because my handwriting's terrible. That's why I don't have a quote this week, y'all. My wife is in Louisiana.
Hey, we love self-awareness.
I'm struggling. And
we love the self-awareness because, look, nigga, I don't write good neither. But your shit be chicken scratch.
My handwriting is terrible. So shout out to my wife for doing that. Thank you, baby. I love you. I love you. So yeah. Let's keep on practicing those things. Once again, think about, is being cheap costing you more? Sometimes it's okay. Go ahead, get the better thing. Y'all ever saw those plate commercials where you got that one flimsy plate?
Wimpy.
Yeah, you'd have made you a nice meal. Plow.
Folded.
Folded quicker than an NBA player around Taylor Rooks.
What?
You've never seen NBA players around Taylor Rooks?
No.
These niggas lose all their composure, nigga. Everybody turned into Michael Jordan around Taylor Rooks, nigga. Everybody got this cold story around Taylor Rooks. Anyways, back to the pod. Being cheap costs you more in the long run.
I'm gonna have to look into that. I did not know that, but yes, being cheap definitely costs you more in the long run. But yeah, man, as always, family, make sure y'all leave us that 5-star rating and review. You know what we need. We know what we do.
I lied. It is one thing I wanted to talk about before we get up out of here, bro. We're talking about the credit, but I wanted to talk about all the areas that impact. We didn't go through the 5 areas that impact your credit score. We just briefly mentioned 2 of them.
Okay.
I feel like we'll be doing a disservice not speaking about all the areas. So David mentioned payment history being 35% of your credit score. I mentioned the amount owed is 30%. The last 3 that we left off is length of credit history, right? So how long you've had access to certain credit lines, right? Maybe you've had a credit card since college, you've paid, you kept it active, that looks good on your report. Once again, that's why we say authorized users can be advantageous to you because you get access to all of their credit history. 4, credit mix, that's 10%, and credit history is 15%. Credit mix is 10%, right? Whenever I was going to buy my truck, they told me I didn't have a good credit mix. All I had was credit cards, so that made me a little bit challenging to be a lender. But they played me because I had freaking pre-financing and I didn't know what I knew. But anyways, credit mix. You want to make sure you have a good credit mix between revolving credit, personal loans, mortgages, all of that comes into play. 10% of your credit score. And then the last thing is new credit. How many new accounts you have added to your credit. That's 10%. 10% as well.
But no, as always, y'all, thank you, Jalen, for sharing that last little tidbit.
No problem.
Make sure y'all leave us that 5-star rating and review. It helps us continue to grow the show and elevate. Get this message out there to people. If you enjoyed this episode, if you thought it was trash, let us know, man. We always down for some feedback. But what we want from you guys most to leave with this one is to do an inventory, audit. Myself, that's the challenge. Audit your thoughts. Be mindful of what you are doing. challenge that I'm accepting from the book I'm reading is to attempt not to complain for the next 7 days. Not out loud and not in your thoughts.
That's a good one.
And see the changes that it'll bring. So that's something I'm working on, trying not to complain. I challenge everybody that's listening to do the same. But that's all for me, man. You got anything you want to leave them with before we close them out with a prayer?
Nah, nothing else that I have like just pressing that I want to get to, man. I think we covered a lot.
Okay. All right. Cool deal. We'll close us out. Pastor Clap.
God, I just ask you, just put it on my heart. We ask that anybody who listens to this, they receive financial abundance, they receive spiritual abundance, first and foremost, a spiritual connection with you, a better understanding of themselves as well, mental abundance, especially through Men's Health Month. Everyone has great health. Everyone is living greatly. We ask that you also give us financial abundance through all areas of our life. We keep you and everybody else in our prayers. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen, and amen. As always, y'all, from his lips to God's ears. Until next time, y'all stay black, stay beautiful, stay wealthy. This is BWR signing out. Peace.